But first, away from today's speculation that the federal election will be called any moment now, is the good news that Australia's mineral exports are expected to hit $425 billion this year on the back of record demand and sky-high prices for our coal and gas. Yet what does it say about our thinking that we're ever more reliant on the self-same fossil fuels that both sides of politics and the entire business community say are wrecking the planet and must be eliminated as soon as possible? I mean, here we are, a week after a budget that forecast a decade of deficits and $1 trillion of debt, despite the ongoing tax bonanza from our fossil fuel royalties, congratulating ourselves on our good luck while still planning to eliminate the source of it via net zero by 2050. Pretty hard to credit, isn't it? Yet the net zero orthodoxy will not be questioned by either the Prime Minister or his rival at any stage during this looming campaign. How can we continue to claim that it's essential to eliminate net emissions by 2050, yet increase our exports of coal and gas that are the biggest source of carbon dioxide emissions? Doesn't make sense, does it? But that's where we are, with a whole lot of the woke energy companies shutting down coal-fired power stations. Today, Liddell announced that its shutdown is starting, while other nations are firing them up overseas, building more and getting stronger. It's as if the coal and gas used overseas somehow doesn't contribute to global emissions, that China's emissions don't count, but ours do. This is the madness that neither leader wants to address in the campaign. Although we know from what they've previously said about coal, Scott Morrison, of course, even bringing a lump of it into the Parliament, and Anthony Albanese saying it had no future, that the PM's main concern is to keep the economy going, while the opposition leader's main concern is to cut emissions even further and faster. Yet to keep leafy Liberal seats full of rich Greens, or to gain regional seats dependent on mining, both the PM and his rival have to pretend that we can keep mining and exporting coal and get to net zero in under 30 years' time. It's the hypocrisy that neither side are addressing because of the demands of electoral politics, but sooner or later, our country will have to confront it. We can be rich and strong, remembering that we're less than 1.5% of global emissions, and act within that bandwidth. Or we can cut emissions fast and make ourselves weaker and poorer compared to countries like China, whose emissions increase by more than our total every single year. No prizes for guessing where the public are on this, given the polls are saying that nearly everyone wants emissions reduced, but almost no one wants to pay a serious price in order to do so. If you think cost of living is biting now, Australia, just wait till all our coal and gas-fired power plants are gone. Don't say then we didn't warn you. You would think this issue would be front and centre days out from an election. But when it comes to debating the big issues, the looming election is likely to be one of the most shallow ever. Though we know discussion of serious economic reform, even though it's good luck as much as good policy, that's got us through the last couple of years in reasonable shape. There were no discussion of politically correct indoctrination of our school children via Invasion Day lessons that's sapping our national self-confidence, or any great pushback on the whole woke poison that's crippling our country, even though the opposition leader now says, I'm not woke, but his party still is. He's just not fessing up, leastways not until he's in the lodge. Daniel Andrews, don't forget, was much the same in Victoria, and now Victorians live in a hard left state in the Commonwealth. Whoever wins the election will have to have a come to Jesus sort of conversion afterwards about the real challenge our country faces and the tough decisions needed to deal with them. At the moment, too many politicians and plenty of voters too are running away from the reality in the hope of success without sacrifice. And it just can't last. Can't last, or nor can our prosperity or security if we keep taking it for granted.